You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Young and the Restless fans. All right, Summer Newman is looking at Kyle Abbott a lot lately, and that could mean Claire Newman is going to be dumped soon. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to talk about how this trio could get wrapped up in the family fights that are heating up, and also why it's the worst time for Claire to be off on her own with Ian and Jordan setting their eyes on new targets. And hey, if you're not following us, please click subscribe, and let's just get right into this. So right away, a huge red flag that Claire and Kyle aren't going to work out long term is that their relationship is moving at this snail's pace. And that's fine, and there's reasons for it, but it doesn't bode well. If you remember, it was Halloween night, I think, the November 1st episode, but Halloween night, when Claire and Kyle were making out up in his room. They were on the bed, and it looked like they were just about to get intimate. Claire says, yeah, it's on. And let's not forget, despite Claire's evil deeds that she did on the orders of her wicked Aunt Jordan, she is innocent in very many ways. She's never been in love. Kyle's her first boyfriend, and he would be Claire's first lover. But that night, Summer very intentionally interrupted them. She knew what she was doing, and she shut it down. Claire and Kyle were upstairs, and Summer saw Claire's purse and figured it out real fast. So she started yelling up the stairs repeatedly for Kyle until he couldn't ignore it anymore. He had to shut her up so she didn't wake up the kids. So the fact that Claire and Kyle never made it to that intimacy stage is one sign that they're not going to work out on Y&R. The second thing is Summer and Kyle's split was all about her siding with her mom, Phyllis, who faked her death to frame his mother, Diane. But these days, Phyllis is looking pretty pathetic and victimized after the whole Sharon storyline. Meanwhile, Kyle is very angry at Diane, and he's probably past any ill feelings towards Phyllis, where Diane is concerned. So that kind of moves these emotional obstacles out of the way for a potential Kyle and Summer reunion. Plus, Phyllis's recent accident and that life and death scare have changed Summer's perspective, and Kyle dealing with Diane and Jack's trickery and Victor using him has changed his perspective. So Summer and Kyle are not the people they were when they broke up. And that's good for them, yeah, I suppose, but probably not good for poor little Claire, who may be collateral damage if sparks fly again for Skyle. So not only did Summer stop Claire and Kyle from sleeping together, but this week she calls it quits with Chance. Although Summer says they should stop seeing each other for now, I think it's going to turn into stop seeing each other for good. I think it's going to stick. Summer blames Chance for her mom, Phyllis, being a crispy critter, unconscious in the hospital because he didn't listen when Phyllis warned him that Sharon was the killer. Of course, we all now know it's Ian and Jordan, but as far as Chance and Summer and Daniel and everybody in town knows, Sharon is the one that killed Heather. And she's definitely the one who framed Daniel, broke into Phyllis's hotel room, and dumped Heather's body. So at Crimson Lights this week, Kyle and Summer have this very sweet bonding moment over them both going through serious issues with parents. Kyle doesn't unpack all of his drama. Instead, he lets the focus be on Summer, and he offers her comfort. There's some hand-holding, and this all means a lot to her. And then Chance walks in. And so hot on the heels of her bonding moment with Kyle, if you haven't seen Thursday's episode yet, you're going to see Summer snap at Chance that he did bare minimum police work. I agree. Didn't open his eyes or ears. I agree. And instead arrested her brother Daniel, an innocent man. Trifecta. I agree with all of that. And this upsets Chance, who says Summer wants somebody to blame, and he digs in his heels, insisting he did nothing wrong. I disagree. So that's when Summer's had enough, and she dumps him at least for now. Good news is Phyllis finally wakes up on Thursday, not long after Summer ditches Chance, but I don't think that's going to soften Summer's heart where he's concerned, and instead she may lean on Kyle. Meanwhile, he's very hurt about this Victor trickery and what his parents have done. Claire has been very supportive. She does not like what her granddad did, but she's also about to have a job offer to work alongside Grandma Nikki at Chancellor, a company that Victor screwed over Billy Abbott to get. And let's not forget that Victor deceived Jill about Lily as part of his sales pitch. So that's a lot of insults to the Abbotts. And if you remember, Claire already told her parents, Cole and Victoria, that she wanted to work with Nikki. And if she takes the job, I don't think that's going to sit well with the Abbotts, who have been very welcoming to her, even fresh off her stint of trying to help murder the Newmans. But if Claire takes that job working for Nikki and, shows this alliance to, Victor and his wife and the Newmans, that could be a deal breaker for Kyle. And that's why I think things don't look good for Claire and Kyle's future as a couple. I like their vibe, but I also am low-key bothered by the insta redemption that Claire got. A couple of weeks in the psych ward and bam, she's good. Back actually introduced into the character canvas. And if she and Jordan hadn't pushed Nikki off the wagon, Victor wouldn't have ever gone after Jack. He wouldn't have targeted Kyle. He wouldn't have bought Glissade, and he wouldn't have caused all this mayhem. So the genesis of all this is Claire and Jordan's scheme, if you dial back to then and look at everything. So as nice as Claire seems, there is still baggage and history there. And I expect to see Summer increasingly turning to Kyle. He may stay loyal to Claire, but her decision about whether or not to work with the Newmans is probably going to be make or break for their future as a couple. That's what I think is coming. So here's where things get dicey. Ian and Jordan are plotting. The whole Sharon and Heather plot was part one. Their next two targets are Mariah and Claire. And if you haven't guessed, it's Ian who wants Mariah targeted. If you forgot, he bought her as a baby, raised her as his child, and then he married her when she was a young adult. It was such an icky, just creepy thing. And Jordan's target is Claire, who she feels betrayed her utterly by siding with the horrible Newmans that Jordan hates. That's her perspective on them. So if Kyle takes a step back from Claire, it's at the worst possible time because her being more isolated means she's at greater risk. But Kyle stepping back and Claire being more vulnerable without him there would absolutely add more drama to everything. And if she's closer to the Newmans when Jordan and Ian strike, that's going to maximize the damage. So I feel that's where it might be heading soon. Meanwhile, in a recent Y&R behind the scenes funny little video for the 13,000 episode, the cast was asked to choose what character they would kill, marry, and make sandwiches with. If you don't know the game, it's usually the F word, marry and kill. But to keep it, PG, they were using making sandwiches as a euphemism. And Josh Morrow, who plays Nick, was the one filming it. And I won't tell you what all the other ones were, but I do want to tell you that both Hayley Erin and Allison Lanier, who play Claire and Summer, didn't really understand that making sandwiches meant, making whoopee, because their answers were hilarious. But both of them think their characters have their eye on the Abbott heir. Hayley said Claire would marry Kyle and kill Audra because she'd be fun to kill. And then Hayley Erin said she'd make a sandwich with my mom, as in Victoria Newman. And Josh Morrow's shock face said it all. And then Hayley realized what it meant, and her shock face was pretty funny too. And it was like, shouldn't say that. And then on to Allison Lanier, who said Summer might kill Diane, and then said Summer's going to marry Kyle again. Allison said, it's boring, but I mean, Skyle. So last, she said she's going to make sandwiches with Mrs. Martinez, the Abbott's cook. So that's why I think she also misunderstood the whole assignment because we never even see this woman, and she literally makes sandwiches for the Abbott. So what was really funny was both Nick and Victoria joked about their characters being each other's soulmates and getting married. It was so gross. So we'll see if either Claire or Summer gets to marry Kyle when it all shakes out, or they both get to make sandwiches with him.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.